This issue was brought to my attention a number of months ago by a young farmer who had just recently inherited his father's farm. Now, we're all encouraged by government and farming associations and so on to encourage people to transfer family farms to young people who perhaps would be more efficient in terms of how they do their business, certainly young people who are committed to farming and to improving farming practices. And absolutely a lot has happened in recent budgets to facilitate the transition and the inheritance of family farms from fathers to sons and daughters and so forth. But this situation that I am bringing to your attention this morning, Minister, is about BVD testing. Now, absolutely it's important that BVD testing is done for a whole myriad of reasons. And I believe that if for a particular herd, there's a 2-year compulsory BVD testing, and then there's the optional 1 year. In this particular situation, the father of this particular herd did the BVD testing in 2012 and 2013. And his son inherited the herd in 2014. The same cows, a closed herd, and then was required to repeat the process to do another 2 years of BVD testing. Now, I know these people very well. They're based in a part of County Clare that has extremely good quality farming practices. And I mean, I think that certainly having to require a son to do testing on a closed herd that had already been completed by his father, and to go to the expense of that again, is certainly a bureaucratic nuisance and a financial burden that's not required and not necessary. These are the type of bureaucratic instances that we need to deal with. There's no need for it. The BVD, the herd had complied with the BVD testing requirements at a cost to the young man's father. So what happens? He inherits the farm, has gone through the third level farming colleges and has his certificates and is a very good farmer. What does he have to do? Repeat the process again. Why? Simply because his father decided to sign over the farm to him. Now, it seems to me grossly unfair and not necessary, because we're dealing and talking about the same cattle. Traceability is something that happens in this country and has resulted in this country having an extremely impressive reputation abroad because of the significant tracing that goes on. So why in God's name are we requiring a son to turn around and repeat the process that has been done in a herd that is closed, that has been fully traced, that is fully accounted for, and so forth? It just seems to me ridiculous. And at this late stage with this particular case, Antara, which I'm going to give you afterwards, is there some way of giving a rebate, even a partial rebate, to a farming family who are just starting out with good intentions, doing their business right, inherited a herd where the business was done right? Surely to God, you know, a common sense approach has to be adopted here. But much more fundamentally, because, okay, there's money involved here, but there's the policy situation that needs to change, and it needs to be rectified, and it needs to be streamlined.
Okay, look, first of all, can I thank Senator Conway for giving me the opportunity of coming in here this morning and indeed to address what is indeed a very, very important issue. And you did highlight, I suppose, the case of one particular individual and his, I suppose, young farmer. I think we have to bear in mind at the outset, before I get into the exact detail, never before in the history of the state was there so much concessions brought in the budget for young farmers. And in fact, only last week I addressed a meeting in Tipperary where the hall was packed, addressed by people that had huge ambition for the agricultural industry. And one of the one of the issues they spoke about was how to produce food, meat, be it beef or milk, in a cost-effective manner. And certainly, not only was it to have it cost-effective, but also to have it in a way that you could sell it on to the world market and demand and get a high price, which Ireland is now demanding and which Ireland is now getting all over the world. The introduction of the industry-led National BVD Eradication Programme on the 1st of January 2013 came after a number of years of careful planning by the Animal Health Ireland and after the implementation of a voluntary scheme in 2012. This compulsory phase required all breeding herds to tag and test calves born after that date. Under the programme, where positive results are detected, herds are required to undertake further testing, in particular to clarify the status of the dam of the positive calf. Some 80,000 breeding herds are now participating in the programme, of which 7,200 also took part in the voluntary phase of the programme in 2012. The experience of the first 2 years of the BVD eradication programme has been very, very encouraging. The rate of compliance with the requirements to test for BVD has been almost perfect, with just fractionally less than 100% of calves born in those years have been tested for the disease. From the outset, Animal Health Ireland has made it clear that the eradication programme will fall into two 3-year periods. In the first of these periods, all herds are required to tag and test calves with the aim of achieving test negative status. Test negative status can be achieved by identifying and removing animals persistently infected with the BVD virus from herds where these are present and through accumulating of negative test results. Already, more than 4,000 herds that entered the programme in 2012 have achieved negative herd status. During the second 3-year period, the emphasis of the programme will be on monitoring to ensure that herds that have achieved a negative herd status remain free of infection, while dealing with remaining herds where infection is still present. It is intended that this monitoring will be available at a reduced cost relative to that available in the first 3 years of the programme, and it is already the case that herds that have achieved negative herd status can avail of testing at a rate approximately 25% less than previously required them. Work is ongoing to investigate alternative methods of monitoring that will offer further cost savings, and it is hoped that these will be available in 2016 calving season onwards. The need for continued monitoring is all the more vital in light of the retention by a minority of herd owners of persistently infected animals that have been identified in the programme to date. In addition, while the overall level of engagement by farmers with the programme has been exemplary, the failure of a small number of herds to participate poses a further risk to the programme achieving its goal in a timely fashion. My department is conscious, and very conscious, of the financial burden that the testing regime imposes on farmers, but the position is that the presence of persistently infected animals in a herd necessarily reduces the profitability of a herd on an ongoing basis, and the eradication programme is designed to remove the source of this income loss on a permanent basis. And I think that's the key. This is a cost factor, a negative cost farmers, and if the disease was gone, it would improve their profit margins, particularly in light of difficult financial circumstances, like we witnessed in the beef collapse, or the fall in the beef prices last September and October. I should express my gratitude to the BVD Implementation Group for its solid contribution towards the development and management of this eradication programme, which is of great significance to the farming community. I would ask the BVD Implementation Group to renew its efforts in advancing the programme in the course of 2015, as farmers do not want a prolonged, drawn-out programme. My department would be glad to support the group in the implementation of the additional necessary